Welcome to Six Picks Music Club, bonus content.
Right now, we're going to welcome Brad Turcotte, the Brad of Brad Sucks, into the clubhouse. What's up, Brad? How you doing, sir?
Not bad. Thanks for having me.
I'm Dave, and this is Russ.
Hey, Russ. Hey, Dave.
So the Great White North gets a lot of love on the pod from Canadian artists as yourself.
Ooh, I'll take it. I'll take any nationalism that I can get.
Awesome. So our show is called Six Picks Music Club. Yeah, so our whole premise is that we pick 6 songs over the central theme, and this week our theme is going to be on road trip songs that you drive to, like you head out on an adventure or you're coming home from one.
Oh, okay.
The song that Russ brought for us.
Yeah, if you start making me nervous, it feels like the beginning of an adventure. And it kind of is, because it's like the first song off your first album, and it just created the adventure of like your career.
Oh,
which
that's
is
awesome.
super interesting. You have carved out a place in the industry for yourself, right? I mean,
That's a nice way to put it, but yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I started like home recording pretty early on and doing like internet stuff back when that wasn't the main way to do it.
I feel like I remember reading about you working for Microsoft at one point.
No, I didn't work for Microsoft, but early on, back when Microsoft was trying to compete with Google, and they were coming up with what would become Bing. They flew a whole bunch of influencers down to Seattle to have us try out their new search engine. So I wound up there.
Interesting.
And then they ignored all of our advice to make it better. And then they gave us some free swag and sent us home.
Do you still have the sweatshirt from Bing, the Bing sweatshirt?
No, but I have a backpack that says, oh yeah, they called us the MSN Search Champs. That was our our group.
You were the super users. Yeah, that's awesome.
We were the search champs. And then I have one of the oldest like MP3 players. They're called like Nomad jukeboxes.
Yeah.
And they're like that thick. And I have one with like MSN Search Champs 2004 inscribed on it.
It's just a hard drive with a skin on it.
Oh yeah, it's like this. It's like, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, and then it comes with a padded leather carrying case that adds like another 1.5 inches of bulk to it, because it was before solid state drives. So you were just waiting for this thing to die.
So it's like you're carrying around a Walkman anyway.
Yeah.
Just exactly. Massive piece of. Well, and speaking of that, like one thing that I am so tickled about is that you have a cassette on your site selling called Loss Leader that you did for your Patreon subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's just like bananas to me that cassettes are coming back like vinyl did 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's so strange. Although I swear people have more turntables around than they do cassette players.
Indeed.
People will be like, oh yeah, absolutely, I'll play this vinyl on my turntable. And then they'll see the cassette and be like, what am I supposed to do with that? And then I go, it comes with a digital download code. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, what's your relationship to physical media like these days?
Not much, really. I mean, I mostly have piles and piles of my own physical media. So I'm one of the largest Brad Sucks vinyl collectors.
Nice. Any advice that you can give me to tell my wife that it's okay to fill our family home with more vinyl?
Oh yeah, like of your own or of other people's? Because if it's your own, you can say it's a business and you have to do it. But other people's, I don't know. I don't know how you get.
It's a tax write-off.
This is all merchandise, actually. This is making me money, honey. Which isn't true, but
that's fantastic. No, so it's like you're one of the early pioneers of kind of that releasing music and content online. And I feel like one of the first sort of major label bands that I remember doing that was Wilco with their Yankee Hotel Foxtrot record. Like, can you talk a little bit about why that sounded appealing? Were you doing stuff on MySpace even before that? Like, how did it all come together?
Yeah, I was around when MySpace showed up. I started, I think, like 2001 or something, and I was working on recordings and stuff at home, but I just had no idea. I was like, okay, so you make the recording, and then I guess like an A&R guy, I've heard about those. Some label comes, and I was living in the country. I don't have any access to anything. And when MP3s came along and digital music, I was like, I think maybe I could like put this stuff up here.
Okay. Yeah.
And maybe try to reach people. But it was before like blogs. So like you had to like write your own HTML and just try to get it up there. And then when file sharing came along, I was like, I gotta jam my stuff in Napster and Kazaa and LimeWire and all that. And then maybe like I don't know, 5-6 years later, the iTunes store launched, and then it started to get a little bit more legitimate after that.
Nice.
Going back to HTML coding for a minute, can you tell me a little bit about Strip Creator? 'Cause that's pretty amazing.
Around the time when I was working on songs, I was just trying to do anything like sort of entertainment, creative stuff online. So I tried a whole bunch of things. I had a whole bunch of different projects and things. And then I had like a general entertainment site, I think, called Low Pass Industries or something. I was making little comic strips, which weren't very popular, but then I wrote a little thing to help me make them. Like just so you could just do pull down characters and fill out the dialogue and everything. And then I wrote that, and then that was way cooler than any of the stuff I was making. So I put that online, and then that took off like crazy. That was like millions of people were into that, making their own comics and sharing them around. And I was really into like being able to generate things with websites and stuff. Like that was kind of a passion of mine. Like it was cool. I loved being able to go on like a website and make a thing or something like that. And so I did that for a while, and then I vainly tried to make it into a money-making venture for about 15 years until I finally called it on that.
Building off that, where you let people come in and make their own comics with your website, you also let people remix your songs for a while.
Yeah, kind of an extension of that. Like I really liked getting other people's creativity involved and stuff like that. And also as like a music nerd, I always wanted to hear like the insides of songs. I wanted to hear like, what do the guitars really sound like in there? Or what are the, how does the mix work of like commercial artists and music that I really liked. So then I decided to just give away the stems or the multi-tracks so that people could do whatever they wanted with the tracks. It was like a little embarrassing to have your vocals out there all raw and letting people do whatever. But I was like, it's fun. And, maybe people will like make a remix and show their friends or something. And then that took off pretty good for a while. A lot of people, there's like a lot of remixes out there. And yeah, so that was pretty fun.
I was listening to that Comfort Zone single, and after that, it suggested a band called Electric Six, and I was like, "This is totally feels very different from like what Brad's got going on." But then I found the Summers UK mix of Dirtbag, and I was like, "Okay, no, this makes a lot more sense." But what do you think it is about your songs that it makes for such great electronic remixes like that?
I don't really know. For a while, I don't know. I found it really strange to listen to a lot of them. And then I started getting like a little self-conscious because almost everybody would like speed up my vocals. And then I was like, am I singing too slow? Am I like, is that a note from the public that I'm a lazy singer?
No, that's funny. Do you do any collaborating with them, or you just find it after the fact?
Pretty much just find it after the fact. Some people message me and ask, is it cool if I do this? And I'm always like, yeah, as long as it doesn't require any effort from me, feel free.
That's awesome.
And then most of them, don't really do anything. But then there's a few, like there's a big Brazilian remix of Making Me Nervous that's got, I think it's coming up on 2 million plays on Spotify. And so it's weird when those things take off.
You've been pretty honest about different parts of your life, especially your recording adventures. And because of how genuine you are, you've gotten a lot of traffic on your site from fans interacting with you. How has that shaped you as an artist?
Yeah, I was always and still am just some dude hanging out on the internet, Yeah, for a while on my blog, I was getting I started getting more attention than I was really comfortable with. I started off and I was just posting demos, just things I was working on and whatever, and then change them. And then people will get mad at me or, be like, you screwed it up. You ruined your own song. And I wasn't the best at having confidence in what I was working on or whatever. So it really started to mess with my head a lot. So I stopped posting publicly and everything and kind of withdrew from that. It's hard to have a lot of people, you know, over your shoulder in the process.
And faceless internet people at that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's keyboard warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing they're all gone now.
Yeah, we've solved that problem. Thank goodness. Well, I have another question. It's kind of curious, kind of thinking about how social media has changed throughout your career, because, you were one of those pioneers, those early adopters. So what are some other things where you see like engagement is so different, and I don't know, social media is changing in front of our very eyes?
Yeah, no, it's wild. I find the trickiest one lately has been the shift to video, because I'm an old school text guy, and it was never really my dream to be on camera or anything. I just wanted to like make songs, and I was pretty much an audio and the written word type of guy. So it's been tricky to go from text and audio to go to video and try to be engaging that way. The other tricky thing is the algorithmic timelines has been a real weird one, because I was actually just watching a really good South by Southwest 2024 keynote by Jack Conte, the Pomplamoose and CEO of Patreon. And he was talking about the shift between, a follow or a subscribe equaling a follow. Like, you follow somebody, you're going to see their posts come up. And that got disrupted pretty hardcore somewhere in the 2010s. And that's been a pretty big shift, because before somebody could get interested in you and they'll go like, yeah, give me more updates from that guy. And now it feels more like you're losing them. Every move you make, every social network that changes, whatever, you're like, oh, I lost a whole bunch again. And you got to try not to take that personally. Like, those are probably the two big ones. Maybe a couple years ago, anything I would post would be like, 5 to 10,000. And I've gotten more committed to like putting out regular stuff, and it's gone down. So whether that's, I'm just putting out worse and worse stuff, I suppose. But it's also spread between platforms now. So on Spotify, I allegedly get paid for those streams. So that's kind of where I focus my attention primarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the secret is there for getting in front of more people. Like I was saying earlier, like the pivot to more video stuff. Like for this one, I made sure I had like a decent little visual thing to go with it and everything. And I think it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really great. I really also dig the kind of the lyrical, you have the lyric that's, I could see myself in your eyes almost every time I look in your eyes. And then you switch it over to the, you can see my cell phone most of the time you look in my eyes. I thought that was such a creative lyric. I was like, that's really brilliant.
Thanks, man. As I was writing that, I was like, no one's going to care about this. I was like, oh, that's so smart. And then, like nobody's gonna notice. It's fine. So I appreciate that. That makes my day.
I had it streaming on my second screen, and I heard it, and I was like, what did he just do? And I had to stop what I was doing and go back and rewind it. And I was like, wow, that's really great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So we were talking about engaging your audience.
Yeah.
And you have some songs with legitimate listens. Making Me Nervous has over 8 million plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
And recently Lonely off your last album has been pretty popular as well.
It's basically been the same my whole career, is that it's very unpredictable. And anytime I delude myself into thinking I have a master plan or the solution, I am proven very incorrect. And then something random and weird happens. Like that song Lonely, it's in a cartoon called Bee and Puppy Cat. Like I wrote that. That was like a commission thing. And that cartoon's very popular. And it was on YouTube, and lots of people love the scene that the song's in and everything. And I was really happy to be part of that. And then they announced that the cartoon was coming to Netflix. And I was like, sweet, I wonder if my song's going to be Netflix. But nobody had talked to me about it or anything. So it showed up on Netflix. The song wasn't in it. And I was like, crushing blow.
Dang it.
Damn. But then on the Bee and Puppy Cat, the cartoon, the subreddit, people went nuts with like, why isn't Lonely in there? And then my streams spiked on that song for like a year straight.
Whoa.
It like doubled from not being included. So I was like, okay, whatever. That's cool. And then recently, Making Me Nervous has been in like a national...
The Lexus commercial.
And so that came out of the blue, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be huge. And like, I've probably heard from like every person I know who's very impressed, but hasn't made a dent in the streaming numbers.
Oh.
You know, like there's been, you can look at the line on Spotify and nothing has happened. But I've received more excited emails from people who know me and know the song or are fans or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know. Who knows?
What a wild world. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so to circle back a little bit, when you go out on the road, what are some techniques that you use to deliver the kind of performances that you want?
That's a good question. It's been a real evolving thing. Like, I mean, I've played as a trio where it feels like you can't really get the sound that you want or like is full or whatever. My relationship to live music has always been, I like recorded music. I didn't grow up going to a lot of shows and stuff. So often when I see a band or even when I'm performing, I'm like, not as good as the, you know, it'd be nice to hear the recording where that's all done well or whatever.
Be nice if I could actually hear what he's saying there. That'd be nice.
Now, having played a bunch, I'm still pretty married to like things sounding very similar to the album. We play as a 4-piece and a little bit of backing track for certain things, like Making Me Nervous feels like you got to have the synth bass thing.
Mm-hmm.
This new record that we've been working on is the first one where I've been working with the band that plays live.
I was going to ask about that. So this is the first time you've been in the studio with other musicians. So how has the process changed? How is it different? How's it going?
It's cool. It's very different. These are songs like, you know, I'm always writing demos and stuff like that. So these are kind of songs that I brought into the band. Like some of them are like over 10 years old. We would often play them at live shows. And then I've tried a couple times to start this project like this. I've never done like live recorded drums before. Like I've never successfully added them to an album. And I just, every time I tried to do it, I just couldn't get it sounding the way, I don't know if I had a specific way I wanted it to sound, but I think I tried twice fully to like start recording this project and just being like, it sounds like shit. I don't know. And like the guys in the band play amazingly. Like they're all better musicians than I am, better players for sure. I just couldn't get it to gel or to sound like a recording. I was also doing it all DIY too. It was like I would take the lead and maybe have someone helping me to record the drums, and you know, there's a lot of microphone bullshit that you have to deal with.
Oh yeah.
That I have no experience with, and I never have to deal with phase issues, just recording one microphone at a time and things like that. And so this time around, we did a lot of rehearsals, and I raised a bunch of money so that I could hire some people who knew what they were doing, and so I've got pretty good beds now, and now we're just tracking over top of it.
That's awesome.
Is it more of a collaborative process? Are you guys working off each other, or are you just pretty much taking the lead here?
I basically come in with a mostly finished demo because, again, they can all play their instruments way better than I can. They really think more about their own parts. You know, when I play bass guitar, I'll basically be just getting through it. But somebody who really plays bass is thinking about all the individual sections and the dynamics between them and, you know, adding little flourishes here and there. And like they write this whole part throughout the entire song, whereas I'm prone to like, all right, we did the 8 bars of the chorus. All right, onto the verse, loop that, and we're done.
Copy, paste, let's go.
Yeah. No noticeable errors. We are complete. They do that, and then they'll suggest stuff for the songs. I think they just basically help take what I've got going there and improve it and definitely turn it into a more sort of legit sounding rock or indie rock type of song. Whereas I think I've always been working within the constraints of sequencing and looping and whatever to try to get somewhere close to sounding like a band, I think.
That's awesome.
So new album's coming out August or September. The Indiegogo is 100% funded, but you never can have too much money, especially when you're creating something like this. So as long as it's open, I think we should plug it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, you can still contribute for another. I think they close it after nobody's contributed for like I don't know, 4 weeks or something like that. So people have been still dropping by. We were selling cover songs for $500 each, and we have something like 12 to do.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So we're trying to work through that backlog right now. Find me on the internet. I'm always plugging whatever the latest thing I'm trying to get people to pay attention to.
2 questions. I have musical heroes, and then like when you think about songs when you're hitting the road, when you're just out on a drive, what are 2 of your picks to make sure you get on the playlist?
Let's see. All right, let's do musical heroes. Well, I gotta say probably Nine Inch Nails was a big one for me. So Trent Reznor's in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I loved his music as a teenager and everything, but he was one of the first ones that made me think you could do
The whole thing by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do the whole band thing and whatever. He's probably one of the main ones. Road songs. I don't know if I have 2, but I've got one that I love a lot is a Ministry song called Jesus Built My Hot Rod.
Yes.
With vocals by Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers. That's probably the roadiest song that I
Who's the love affair?
Yeah, that one rocks.
I love that track.
Pretty hard. And there's like an extended mix as well that's even wilder. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys pick.
Well, yeah, man. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you today.
Well, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for coming on, making time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to meet you guys.
All right, man. Take it easy.